Alright guys, so today's video we're going to talk about a headset that I really want to talk about just because it's one that's stood the test of time. And the pair we're going to talk about is the PXN Konlin 2. Now it's not specifically this pair that has stood the test of time, but originally this design goes all the way back to like 10 years ago, I believe, when the Takstar Pro 80s came out. It was just one of those headphones that came out of nowhere. It was a studio style headphone. It wasn't a gaming headset. It had 53mm drivers, had a really solid build, and it's one of the most comfortable pair of headphones that I had ever tested at the time. HyperX picked up on this design and released the cloud headphones or headsets, which you still see to this day. And so moving to the Konlin 2s, which we're gonna check out today, they still have that same design. I mean, it's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of things, because it still has that steel construction and it's using memory foam ear pads, which just again makes this a headset that you can use for many hours. That's very important, and it's always kind of been the focus with HyperX, and the Konlin 2s are doing that exact same thing. But where the Konlin 2s come in differently is it's offering that USB sound card like the HyperX Cloud 2s, which that pair normally goes for about $100. But the Konlin 2s are coming in at $59, and the company also reached out to give you guys a coupon code to use to save an additional 15%. And PXN, we checked out a pair of true wireless earbuds from them a couple of months ago that came with a USB dongle where you could use the true wireless earbuds with the PS5 and with consoles where you normally can't use Bluetooth devices. And so that's the first thing that ever caught my attention from this company. And now with them having this headset that resembles one of my favorite headsets or headphones of all time, any chance that I have to tell people about a headphone that still to this day I use, but now just getting more additional features is a huge plus. So we're gonna talk about those features, we're gonna talk about the comfort level, everything that comes inside the box, the sound, and see why I think this is a hell of a deal coming in at around $50. So to start with, the Konlin 2s is a wired headset. It comes with the USB sound card permanently attached to the headphone, but on that sound card it has a USB-C plug-in. So in the box they've included a regular headphone cable that you can plug into these. They've also included the PC split cable, so if you're wanting to plug one end into a mic input and then one into the headset input, you can do that. And then it also just comes with a USB input. Now, if you're going to be using these on PC, this is definitely the cable you would want to use because this is what powers that USB sound card, and it gives you some different EQ settings. It also gives you control over the lighting that these have because it does have that typical gamer RGB lighting. And then the sound card also gives you your volume control and then your mic mute switch. So all of that's located right there on that sound card. And PXN also has their own software that you can download if you're going to use these on PC. And this allows you to switch between some of those EQ options. It allows you to just customize the EQ setting the way that you want. It also gives you some different mic effects. If you want to sound like a girl, you can, or if you want to sound like some husky man, you can, which yeah, I don't know if I would ever use that, but I guess at least it's there. But it also gives you control over the microphone where if you want to turn the volume up of the mic, you can, but you can also adjust the environmental noise canceling level. So if you're going to be gaming in a room where a lot of noise is going on, it's nice that you can adjust this. And then also it gives you different controls over the surround sound because this does have that simulated 7.1 surround sound. And I'm going to say this, just like every other gaming headset that I've tested that has surround sound mode, I still think this is a gimmick because you still only have two speakers essentially trying to simulate that there are 7 around you and a subwoofer. And I don't know, there's only so much 2 speakers can do. You can hear some of the change, but in most cases, it just sounds like reverb. It just sounds like an echoey type effect to give you more space. And it is trying to position some things, but I still find that using these in normal stereo mode is the way to go. And I also found that my favorite EQ setting is the bass setting. And maybe this is because I'm a bass head, but I think they did a really good job of giving it that punch, but not sacrificing the clarity. But we'll talk about that once we get to the sound. Now, as far as the overall build and the design, like I said, we've seen this design before. The steel frame makes it where you can bend the hell out of these things and they're not gonna break. I do not like the exposed cables that's on the inside, but that's always been the case because if something pulls those or cuts those, your headset's pretty useless. I mean, it's just an exposed cable that I prefer to just see them hide within the headphone itself. The headband, like I said, is very soft. The ear cups are still memory foam, and it's still, to this day, one of the softest, lightest headsets that I've ever tested. I do wish that the ear cups folded inward, and I do wish that it came with a carrying pouch, because this is one of those, especially if you still have a phone that has a headphone jack, or if you're gonna use these with the Nintendo Switch, you would want to be able to have them be a little bit more portable. But they can take a beating, so you can just throw them in a bag like they are, but they're going to get scratched up. So as far as the microphone on this pair, it does come with a removable mic. The mic is bendable, so you can bring it as close to your mouth as you want to. And again, I think it does a really good job of picking up my voice. I think it sounds fairly natural. And it also does a really good job of blocking out any kind of noise that's going on in the room around me. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is the mic test using the Konlin 2s, and again, I wouldn't say it's broadcast quality or maybe even comparable to the mic that I normally use, but I think it does a really good job of picking up my voice, making it still sound fairly natural, without having too much of a digital sound. So this is what it would sound like while using these while gaming. And so now here's the mic test with the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were gaming, not in public, but maybe in a room where there's a lot of noise going on. So now let's go back to talking about the sound. And I'm mainly going to talk about the sound, leaving them in that bass mode because that was the one that I liked the most. But like I said on the control box, you can switch it between like going into a movie mode, going into music, and going into different settings there. And I did find that I left it in a music mode. I felt like it just sounded pretty much well-rounded for anything that I was gonna use it for. But if you switch it over into movies or gaming, it tends to bring out the mids a little bit more so that you can hear subtle sounds and dialogue and things like that. But I did not like the 7.1 at all. I felt like it pushed the mids way too forward and it dulled everything else way too much to where it wasn't enjoyable. So I just avoided that mode like the plague. And the bass mode to me just stood out the most. I mean, it had plenty of punch to it. There was even a slight rumble in the low end if you like that subwoofer type feel, but it didn't sacrifice the clarity of the mids and the treble because the mids always felt like they were slightly above the rest of the mix. So vocalists always stood out, and if I was watching a movie or gaming, any type of dialogue was never kind of buried into everything. And same thing with the treble. I think they knew because this is a very, bass heavy, almost slightly warm headset, that they needed to turn the treble up to kind of balance that out. And I think they found a really good mix here. Now, this is not a bright or harsh sounding headset, although at louder volumes it can get very, very close to that. And I think they took that into consideration while they were tuning these. And when it comes to the sound stage and the sound imaging, I think it sounded very open. And again, I think that's why I don't think there's any need for that 7.1 surround sound because this headset has plenty of space to it. And I think the stereo awareness and being able to tell where things are coming from, this headset does a really good job with. So honestly, my overall opinion is the only thing I wish was different is I don't like those exposed cables. And I really wish that it folded in and came with a carrying pouch. I think it just would make it more portable. I think this is more made for stay at home, and being able to pick them up for anywhere between 50 to 60 bucks, I think is an absolute steal because it is a very durable headset. It is a very comfortable headset. And if you're gonna use them on PC, being able to get those different EQ options and being able to adjust some things just really adds to the value of this headset. But just as it is, it has incredible sound. Those 53mm drivers are definitely giving you enough volume, but it's not pulling back on giving you a very dynamic sound overall, which I think most people are gonna be happy with. But guys, that wraps up my video on the PXN Konlin 2s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.